Ready. Good morning and welcome to today's meeting. I would like to officially declare the meeting open at 9:35 a.m. and acknowledge that we are hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation and are joined by people from other lands around the state. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia, pay respects to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and community. Today's meeting will be run in accordance with the DAP standing orders under the Planning and Development DAP Regulations 2011. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website in accordance with Regulation 42A of the Planning and Development DAP Regulations 2011. Panel members may refer to the technical devices throughout today's meeting to assist them in considering information before them. We have present in today's meeting all 5 members. We have Councillor Linda Balcombe online. We have Councillor Lincoln Stewart in the room with us. Also online, we have Specialist Member Nima Premji. In the room to my immediate left, we have Clayton Hine, Deputy Presiding Member. My name is Francesca Lafanti, Presiding Member. There are no apologies for today's meeting, and the minutes for this DAP meeting will be available on the DAP website. We have one item on today's meeting. It is dealing with the Shire of Gingin. So members, can I have a show of hands that you have duly considered all of the documentation contained in Part B of the agenda and Part B related information, and that includes the R13 direction response, which was published on the 21st of October 2025. That is unanimous for the minute taker. We have received 2 disclosures of interest from Councillor Lincoln Stewart and from Councillor Linda Balcombe. Both are in partiality interest. These relate to participating in council meeting. I have duly considered these interests and have granted approval for both members to sit in this meeting. I am satisfied that they will bring an impartial mind to the consideration of the matters before us, and accordingly they are approved for full participation. Members, are there any other disclosures of interest in relation to this matter? There are no other disclosures of interest for the minute taker. We have on the agenda today one application. It is for lot 9001 Lancelin Road, Lancelin, proposed subdivision works, bulk earthworks. We have one presenter, Mr. Sam Williams. Welcome to the meeting. And in accordance, you're probably familiar, in accordance with the DAP Standing Orders 2025, clause 4.8.2, your presentation is limited to 3 minutes, and I encourage you to focus on the key or the main aspects in your verbal presentation. We have received your material, both in your presentation and in your supplementary material. And then we will go to questions from panel members to you. Following that, we will go to Shire officers, Mr. Jane Bayliss, beg your pardon, for comments and questions. I will hand over to yourself, Sam. Just want to speak first and make sure we can hear you, and then continue with your presentation.
Thank you, member, confirming you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear and see you clearly.
Excellent, thank you. I'll commence. So, and good morning to everybody, and thank you for providing this opportunity. And I do note the correspondence from the Shire of Gingin and myself in the last few days since I provided my sort of grounds or reasons for the deputation. So I've sort of hence refined it a bit more. So I guess in sort of talking to the key points, I would like to reiterate the following. This application has been lodged with direct support of an approved subdivision. The land was not zoned residential, did not have an approved structure plan, and did not have subdivision approval. This application would not reflect orderly and proper planning. This application is a cut to fill exercise, which reflects the approved subdivision. The proponent lodged this application ahead of the full set of engineering drawings as they wanted to deliver the pre-sold lots to their buyers. And where I say pre-sold lots, that's every lot within this stage 5 and 6, 250 lots. As of today, the contractor is ready to commence bulk earthworks with the program expected to take 3 to 4 months, i.e. the application before you today. The full set of engineering drawings was lodged with the Shire last week for this stage 5 and 6. However, the time frame for assessment of this is unknown. The assessment of the last set of drawings for 100 lots for stage 3 and 4 took the Shire in excess of 6 months to approve. Hence, the proponent is looking at ways to streamline the process to deliver lots. This application is not extractive industry. If this was the case, residential subdivisional works would not be permitted within the Shire of Gingin. The works proposed are not an identified use class in the scheme. Clause 3.4.2 of the Shire scheme provides the ability for a use that isn't mentioned to be permitted, provided it's consistent with the objectives of the zoning. Undertaking civil works to enable the creation of residential lots on residential zone land in accordance with the subdivision approval is consistent with the objectives of the zoning. The requirement from urban water management plan and geotech will be undertaken prior to the commencement of civil works. It is noted the urban water management plan will confirm the hydrology for the site's development, which has been addressed at a high level with the local water management strategy and drainage allowance made for in the estate. Regarding the geotech, the site is on white sandy soil, and based on geotech work undertaken to date, it has been confirmed the site is suitable for development and all lots will have an A classification. The comment regarding the Education Department condition is not relevant as the school site has been relocated and is reflected on the current subdivision application being assessed by the WAPC, i.e. the transport impact assessment does not need to be changed. With respect to the Shire's refusal and approval to source fill from stage 5 and 6, which comprises the application area, the proponent has completed the works associated with this engineering approval. Comment made this application contributes to the Shire confusion should not be placed on the proponent. Furthermore, previously this wasn't a dual lodgement. As noted, the engineering assessment took 6 months and it was finally issued. The proponent noted the stage 5 and 6 fill item was included in the engineering bundle. This is why the proponent did not challenge the position of the council to refuse the application. So thank you for the opportunity to provide this, and I do hope this clarifies any confusion and questions you may have had during the week.
Thank you for your presentation. Members, we will now go to questions. Are there any panel members who have questions for this presenter? Member Clayton-Heim, and then we will go to Member Premji. Member Premji, I beg your pardon.
Sam, why then do you think the WPC requires those elements like a geotech and the urban water management plan be done prior to any works? If you don't think it's necessary at this stage and you could go ahead and do your land works prior to those things.
The land works that we're looking to do at this stage is simply a cut to fill exercise. We're wanting to take the high points off the land and put them in the low points to deliver flat level land for development purposes. The urban water what we're doing will not impact on the ability on the urban water management plan to demonstrate how the site's hydrology will work in terms of drainage location. I mean, we've already got the allocation for this drainage provided for in stage 2 and 3 and 4. So we know we've addressed that. The urban water management plan will just confirm that because we've done it in accordance with a high level local water management strategy. And we know for a fact that the site, from a geotechnical perspective, that the site is suitable for development. I mean, we will deliver site lots with an A classification. The site, given where it's located, i.e., adjacent to the coast, does comprise sandy soil. So it's not like it's on clay soil or anything like that. And we have actually undertaken geotech assessment internally just for the sake of commencing our bulk earthworks to ensure that the site that we're not going to be hitting too much hard rock. So we feel confident that this high-level cut-to-fill exercise is not jeopardising the ability for the Urban Water Management Plan and Geotech to confirm the site suitability for development and the actual development of the site itself.
Thank you.
We now move to member Nima Premji. You had questions?
Yeah, it's actually leading on from what the Deputy Presiding Member asked half my question, which was good. When you said you put in the applications for stages 3 and 4, you've mentioned in your R13 replies that you had indicated that you'll be taking the fill from stages 5 and 6. Would that be correct?
That is correct, but if I could just say that lodged the application for 3 and 4, we didn't realise how much of a shortfall we would have on fill. So that is why, and we lodged the application for 3 and 4 in June last year. And it was sort of towards the tail end of last year that we realised we had a shortfall in fill, and we knew that 5 and 6 had an abundance of fill that we could rob the fill from place into 3 and 4. Hence why we lodged the development application to source the fill from 5 and 6 to put in 3 and 4.
So when you did put your application in for 3 and 4, did you indicate to this Shire that if there were to be a shortfall, where the alternative fill would be coming from?
No, we didn't, because we weren't expecting we'd have that shortfall.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from members at this point? If there are no further questions, you can come back. We will move on to Officer James Bayliss. Would you like to provide any comments before we go to questions from panel members?
Through the chair, I think the RAR speaks for itself.
Members, do you have any questions to Shire Officer? Clayton Heim, and then we're going to Nima Premji.
James, I suppose I was surprised at the land use classification being extractive industry. And when I read that definition, I find it very difficult to align with what they're doing. And I would have thought that it would be a use not listed. Comment on that?
Yeah, look, initially with the assessment, I haven't come across a scenario where the zoning table specifically deals with a scenario where there would be a use that's not, or no use at all, that is provided for in that zone. Hence the reason it defers you to, I think it's clause 3.4.2, which addresses that scenario. So in the traditional sense, assigning a use class and the permissibility wasn't something that I think the scheme necessarily contemplated for subdivision works. So you then just simply have regard to the structure plan. So it wasn't assigned a use class in the traditional sense. It was assessed against the relevant clause of the
We're now going to member Nima Premji. Do you have questions?
Yes, thank you. Okay, I'll go back again to the question that I asked Sam. When the Shire assessed the application for stages 3 and 4 and looking at the cut and fill that was required, did the Shire envisage there would be a shortfall, or was it acceptable that the fill that was within stages 3 and 4 will equal out and they didn't need to go somewhere else like stages 5 and 6?
Look, through the chair, the Shire, I suppose, took the applicant on face value that they formed the view there would be enough fill there. I don't think it then follows that they're unable to source fill from an alternate avenue. We have an abundance of extractive industries within the region. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have to remove fill from another section of their subject land to satisfy their subdivision. There's multiple avenues that they can source fill from. However, directly in response to your question, we were unaware of whether or not fill amounts that were disclosed were going to be sufficient.
Well, and my other question is, you've got stages 1, 2, 3, 4, and there would have been subdivision conditions on those particular stages. Was there any issues or concerns in clearing those conditions that were assigned to the Shire?
Well, generally, clearance of those conditions will be dealt with through our engineering team. What I can say is I think the timeframes of assessing the engineering drawings are a reflection on the drawings themselves and the number of amendments that the Shire is having to have with the consultant engineer. So in isolation, the timeframes suggest the Shire is dragging its feet when in fact, there's a lot of dialogue between the parties.
Okay. I think that's all I have for this stage. Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any further questions? I've got a question too in relation to the concerns about orderly and proper planning, particularly in the context of the subdivision conditions, which essentially say, before you can do this, you need to do these other activities. Can you speak a little bit about the concerns of those other activities, particularly regarding engineering works, etc.? And I suppose for me, it goes to the concern you have around the impact of realising the subdivision and the development that's proposed in that area.
Through the chair again, it's asking me to guess whether or not those conditions can be fulfilled. Based on the documents that formed part of the proposal, I can't say whether, with any confidence that they can be. I can't say with any confidence that they can't be. The proponent hasn't demonstrated in any way, shape or form on the documents that those conditions can be fulfilled. I don't necessarily see that it's my view to speculate one way or another. I'm not comfortable to provide the panel members with that sort of speculation.
Okay.
Just as a follow-up, we heard Sam mention that they had done some preliminary geotech work. You've not been privy to any of?
Through the chair, I have not, no.
Thanks.
Okay. Is there any further questions that panel members have?
I have a quick question. That's to Mr. Bayliss. If we endorse earthworks that could predetermine or constrain the form of later subdivisions, what would those constraints look like?
Through the chair, I don't know what I don't know. So that's the point I'm making, is that I wouldn't want to restrict future decision of our engineering team by virtue of the planning process. In a very simple sense, I think the subdivision works are governed by subdivision approval. I don't think that subdivision work should be governed by subdivision approval and a development approval. So I don't want to make a decision that might restrict the future ability of our engineering team to look at the documents objectively without any sort of restriction.
Are there any further questions from panel members? You can also ask questions back to the applicant if you have any questions. If there are no further questions, we move back to the agenda. Yes, Member Clayton Hine.
Chair, I would like to seek an adjournment to the meeting, seek further advice.
Behind closed doors.
Behind closed doors.
So adjournment to the meeting to seek further advice is being moved by Member Clayton Hine. Is there a seconder? It is seconded. All those in favour? It's carried.
Councillor Malcolm and Nico, Ashley, I'm just going to call you on your mobile phones because I need to keep this meeting running. Confirming that Nima and Councillor Balcombe are back online.
I can't start my video. It's not allowing me. The host is not allowing me. So I am here.
Yeah, I'll just press the button.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, can you both hear and see us okay?
Yes, yes.
Yes, 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 yes.
Thank you. And is the applicant back online? We'll recommence. We are recommencing the meeting. It is 10:03 a.m. We are recommencing the meeting. Moving now, if there are no questions from panel members to either the Shire officer or applicant, we will move back to the agenda. There is a recommendation at the beginning of the agenda, recommendation for refusal. In accordance with the RDAP standing orders, we will go first to that recommendation before moving any further recommendations. Is there a mover of the recommendation as written in the agenda? If
That
there
the
is
recommendation for refusal?
the one at the beginning of the agenda.
Yes. Sorry.
It is moved a member Lincoln Stewart. Is there a seconder for the recommendation as contained in the agenda? It is seconded, member Clayton High, is that correct? Yes. Would the mover like to speak to this recommendation?
No, I support the recommendation as is.
Would the seconder like to speak to the recommendation?
Yes, thank you, presiding member. Look, before I speak to it, I want to propose an amendment to the motion that's been put and that I have seconded, but the amendment is that take out after in one, we take out due to and put because. And then 1A is changed to read prematurely attempts to bypass the proper clearing of earthworks by the RDAP in accordance with the conditions of subdivision approval. Leave 1B as it is and delete 2.
Did members all understand what was being moved in this amendment?
Yes.
Is there a seconder for amendment 1? It is seconded, Nima Premji. Would the mover like to speak to amendment 1?
Yes, thank you, presiding member. I guess in speaking to this, I'm only speaking to the amendment, but to the whole recommendation for refusal with the reasons. I hear what the applicant is saying, and I feel sorry for the applicant in terms of trying to get this subdivision underway and get housing lots on the market. I understand all that. However, I do think this is putting the cart before the horse in that we will compromise, or it will compromise the Development Planning Commission conditions, possibly at later stages, although this is still quite unclear to me. I just don't see, without having the proper geotech reports and the urban water management plan, I can't see what impact this is going to have or no impact. So I think it is dangerous for us to try and approve this against conditions probably against conditions that require this work to be done prior to any works. So the changes I've made in this amendment are to really reinforce my concerns around this approach and it being a piecemeal approach. In terms of reason 2, I don't really believe this is setting an undesirable precedent. It is just another decision and I'm quite convinced it's not setting a precedent. So they are my reasons for that and my comments on the overall recommendation for refusal.
Thank you. We are on Amendment 1. I'll go to the seconder of Amendment 1, Mark Premji.
Yes, thank you, Presiding Member. I agree with all the comments that have been made by the Deputy Presiding Member and concur that, there are WAPC subdivision approvals. The applicant is well aware of them, has done it in previous stages as well. And it is potentially could compromise the subdivision in the future stages. And there is a vacuum of information which makes it very difficult to agree that this should go ahead. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers on Amendment 1? If there are no further speakers on Amendment 1, do you wish to have right of reply to Amendment 1? We are going to the vote on Amendment 1. All those in favour? Is carried unanimously. We move back to the substantive motion. We are with the seconder of the substantive. Do you wish to continue speaking?
No further.
Are there any other speakers on the substantive motion for this matter?
No, thank you.
Speak to the substantive motion. I would echo the comments made by the Deputy Presiding Member in relation to subdivision. However, based on the material that we have, I have some reservations. I have reservations, not even some reservations, that these technical reports are essential for adequately assessing the potential impacts of the proposed earthworks and their alignment with the structure plan. So from my perspective, those provisions that relate to the subdivision are significant, and I would also agree with the comments provided from Shire officers that in the absence of that, we are really trying to make a judgment of a significant matter, the overall delivery and the delivery of the subdivision for that area without sufficient information from my perspective, and I therefore can't comfortably form the view that it is an appropriate direction and development to go in the absence of having that information. So from my perspective, it currently lacks information to clearly determine that it is without impact. So those are my comments. I don't disagree the need for housing. I don't disagree with the need to progress the subdivision. I just don't feel on the material we have to date that it's sufficient for me to make that judgment. Those are my comments. Are there any further comments from panel members? If not, we move back to the mover of the
Sorry.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Nima, sorry.
It's okay.
My glasses off.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of the things that I find in reading the RA and looking at all the replies that have come through, that the subdivision conditions are there to be fulfilled, and they are there for a particular reason, and that is to ensure that potentially we do not compromise the future developments and the ability of the Shire to approve plans and make sure that the development of the stages go ahead appropriately. With the absence of information and with the process that's being followed, just to a great degree, it conflicts with and does not really align with the principle of orderly and proper planning for which there is a process. So thank you very much. And yes, I agree with the recommendation with the amendments. Thank you.
Members, is there any other members that wish to speak?
Yes. Sorry.
Yes, you may.
Through the presiding member, I'd just like to say the RA I thought was very well written, and the comments today and the discussion has definitely proven that there needs to be the correct reports put in to allow our officers to be able to move forward on this subdivision, and I agree with whatever everyone said today.
If there are no further comments, I'm moving back to the mover of the substantive, Member Lincoln Stewart, for close of debate, or right of reply and close of debate.
No reply necessary. Thank you, Presiding Member.
Debate has been closed, members. We are going to the vote. All those in favour? It is carried unanimously. Move back to the agenda. There are no Form 2 applications relating to this council, and there are also no Section 31 SAT reconsiderations for discussion. The SAT applications that are currently in hand are listed in the agenda, and I have no comments to make in relation to those. And accordingly, I close today's meeting at 10:13 a.m. Thank you for your participation.